What's the unintentionally funniest thing you've ever heard a child say? Had a friend who transported goods for a pharmaceutical company. He jokingly referred to it as delivering drugs in front of his 4-year-old nephew. One day, the friend was supposed to pick his nephew up from daycare. His caretaker asked him conversationally what his uncle did for a living. Of course, the kid spouts off that his uncle sold drugs for a living. This did not go over well with the caretaker. She proceeded to call the mother, who burst out laughing before she could explain. My wife works in the outpatient pharmacy of a children's hospital. I tell everyone that she sells drugs to kids. My little brother, 10, was telling a story about his friend Jay and himself to an older lady who is quite stiff about kids these days. Brother, me and Jay were playing. Lady, Jay and I. Brother, no, you weren't there. Laughter erupts. No, you weren't there. I'm going to use this next time someone corrects me on that. I was explaining to my 4-year-old son what muscles are and asked him to look at my biceps. He said, hold on, I need to go get my magnifying glass. I didn't even know what to say and my wife is still laughing about it. Haha, your son probably didn't understand what he just said. Dad, what's that? That's a cemetery. What's a cemetery? That's where they bury dead bodies. Oh. A few minutes pass. Dad? Yeah, where do they bury the heads? He's well on his way to becoming a dad. My wife and I take our children to see Santa in Macy's NYC. We have a 5-year-old boy and a 3-year-old girl. We get on the elevator to go up and my son says to a 20-something girl as she gets on, "Hey girlfriend, do you wanna see my Pokemon?" My kid and me after a large blowout I had with my ex-wife over something stupid. Our 2 daughters heard my ex unloading on about how she hates me and how terrible I am. And I knew when she gets like that I have to walk away. She would say some pretty cutting things. Anyways, I am angry and I go sit on the couch in the living room with the lights off. My 4-year-old walks up to me. Dad, no one likes you, eh? Me. Yeah, I gathered. Thanks. Mommy doesn't like you. I don't like you, Helen. 1.5 Yo. Doesn't like you. Me. Yeah, thanks. Hahaha, I played a joke on you. I am kidding. I don't know what Helen thinks. Geez, that was freaking brutal. I worked as a teacher's assistant for a year and I have a weird last name, so I got the kids to call me Mr. A if they couldn't pronounce it. But some kids still tried to say their interpretation of my name. One of the kids said, "Mr. A, I am gonna start calling you Mr. Avocado. Because I can't remember your last name. And I don't like avocado." Savage. I could tell hundreds of stories from my camp counselor days 10 years ago or so, but one that will always stick out was when I had a group of 6-8-year-olds on an exploration hike decently far into the woods, and one of the boys told me he needed to go to the bathroom. "Okay, Trevor," I asked, "do you know how to go to the bathroom outside?" Questioning whether or not he understood to do his business out of view from the rest of the group, on a tree or something. "Yeah," he assured me while walking away. I just take my peanuts out and go. Couldn't argue with his answer. I was in a park. 3 children, about 8 years old, were playing together and 2 of them ran away laughing. The third calls them to come back but they kept running. He passed near me and whispered, "Fricking earthlings." I used to work in a preschool, and a little boy heard me say that one of my friends was visiting Baltimore. The kid immediately gasped and went, "You aren't supposed to say his name." He thought that Voldemort was named Baltimore, and was horrified that someone I knew was visiting he who must not be named. I didn't correct him. "Good morning, Voldemort. Every day's like a curse boudoir. Every night's like a fantasy. Every spell's like a symphony. Good morning, Voldemort. And someday when I kill on the floor, the whole world will wake up and see Voldemort and me." Literally 5 seconds ago a little girl asked me, "Are you Melissa?" I am a 250-pound bearded man. I am decidedly not Melissa. I bet you would be a great Melissa if you wanted. I'm a mailman and one day a little girl came to the door to get the mail. She looked up at me with a big smile and said, "Thank you, whaleman." I spent the rest of the day thinking about how much more interesting of a job that would be. When I was 4, I told my entire family at my birthday party that my wiener got big whenever I needed to really pee. My grandmother nearly died laughing. As a child, my brother didn't like peanuts. As a treat after dinner one Sunday we had cornetas. My brother peeled the wrapper off and then turned to my dad and said, "Dad, can you nibble my nuts off?" My aunt wet herself laughing. When my cousin was still a toddler they were constipated so badly that a suppository was prescribed. This led to an episode in which my cousin screamed "No daddy, not the bum medicine" again while their bedroom window was open and the neighbors were having a BBQ. We were bringing lunch to the teachers at school and my daughter announced that we made a special soup for Mr. S because he's a virgin. Mr. S is a vegan. And from that day on, the 40-year-old Mr. S has been trying to imply that he was not a virgin to the other teachers while still maintaining professionalism and not appear creepy. Went to McDonald's once and headed for the bathroom. Just before I opened the door this small child busts through with his friend and he yells, "I ain't washing my hands. I'm a bad boy." This happened 4 years ago and I still laugh about it. I've shared this before, but once when my niece was very little, maybe 3, we passed a bridge under construction and there were 2 big cranes working. She sighed in this resigned way and said, "I knew one day the dinosaurs would come and get me." I almost had to pull over, I laughed so hard. Around the same time we were having a dinner party and my best friend and I were sitting in the living room. She toddles in and I hold out my arms. She runs and jumps into my friend's lap. I exclaim, "But, P, I'm blood." She screams and runs towards me. "You blood?" Werent proceeds to check me over for flesh wounds. She's awesome. At the zoo watching a rhino and a young family is next to me. Out of the blue the rhino got an erection. Something brought to my attention by the young boy yelling, "Whoa, look at his wiener. Is yours that big, daddy?" The father turned bright red while the mother laughed her butt off. When my nephew was a toddler, around Christmas time, he asked me, "Uncle Extra Shaman, can we sled ride in?" Heck, I was kind of taken aback, trying not to laugh. We all heard it. My sister cleared it up though. He was trying to say, "Can we sled ride down the hill?" A little background. When my daughter was little, she would make any excuse to try to sleep in our bed. We also had a lab named Morty who fell in love with her the day we brought her home from the hospital and followed her around until the day he died. One night, she told me, "Mommy, I can't sleep in my bed because Morty left all of his dog feathers in it." Yep, that's a lab. Been a year since mine passed and we are still finding lab feathers. My niece was 3 when my nephew was born. She came up to me and my girlfriend when we visiting my sister in hospital and said, "So am I not allowed to punch the baby in the head?" Glad she at least asked. My cousin's daughter punched my baby in the head with a Hulk hand on. Uncle had a tick in his ear when we went camping. My nephew pronounced tick as dong and would not stop shouting, "Uncle Tom's got a big old dong in his ear," over and over again. Stick a big old dong in your ear and frick what you heard. My husband was pulled up for random breath testing. As the cop told us we were fine to go on our way, my youngest child piped up, "Well, that went better than last time." Turns out he meant last time hubby was RB Ted. He bitched about it because it was raining and the shoulder he was pulled up on was boggy. One little girl asked her friend, "Does your mom have a baby in her belly?" The woman was quite overweight. The kid says, "Oh, there's every possible thing in there." Sorry, it's hard to get it across in English, but it was hilarious. D. I'm a man and I once heard a child say, "Look mommy, he is pregnant like you," while pointing at my belly. Family went to Olive Garden restaurant. Waitress delivers the obligatory bowl of salad with the salad tongs. I proceed to start mixing up the salad with the tongs. My 4-year-old daughter sits up and stares into the bowl and then looks up at me and asks, "What are you looking for?" A purpose. In the Lebanese dialect, Arabic, the word Eerie means my dong. A young Lebanese boy was counting to 100 in English. When he got to the 80s, instead of saying 80, he replaced it with Eerie. Eerie 1, Eerie 2, Eerie 3, Eerie 4, Eerie 5, Eerie 6, Eerie 7, Eerie 9. We lost 2 people that day due to excessive laughter. Till to say dong in Arabic. Was out to lunch with my fiance, her parents, and my 4-year-old niece. I gave her a quarter so she could get some Skittles from the candy machine. We are driving home and she is intentionally offering everyone Skittles and telling me I can't have any. All of a sudden she looks at me and asks, "What is that in your hand?" I show her my empty hand and she says, "No, your other hand." I was pretty confused and opened my other hand to show her there was nothing in it either. She looks at me with this crap-eating grin and says, "No Skittles." My 7-year-old son slept on the top bunk of a bed with his brother down below. He's a bit of a tank and was hitting around 28 kgs. One night he asked me to put him to bed, and I said, "Mate, you're getting really heavy. I'm not sure that I can lift you all the way up that high anymore." He looked me straight in the eye and said, "Dad, you just need to believe in yourself." Anytime the girl, 5, I babysit wants me to crawl under the table, has weird legs that don't give much space, or crawl in her tunnel, I'm a 6-foot lady, I remind her that I can't fit and she always says, "Just try, you can do it." They're so encouraging it hurts. At a friend's house during lunch, his daughter had eagerly gobbled down her food and had crumbs all over her face. Her mom, trying to get her to clean up, asked, "What's on your face?" and her daughter snapped back with, "Nothing. What's wrong with your face?" Me. How old do you think grandpa is? 5 years old. Nephew. 12. Me. No, he's actually 62. Nephew. He is going to die soon. Me. 8. Little kids either think a person is really old or like 5 years older than them. My niece likes to sing in front of everyone at holiday gatherings. When she finishes she says, "Everybody crap" instead of "everybody clap." Always gets a good laugh. Please crap. I used to ask my little cousin, around 5-6 years old at a time, if she knew any swear words. She started listing off all the bad words she knew. Hate, stupid, crap, frick. Wait, what was that last one? It escalated so quickly and nonchalantly that it had me dying. Duty, butt, syphilitic W. My partner's 5-year-old daughter was watching me do my makeup in the mirror and she said, "You look like an angel." That's the sweetest thing she's ever said to me, so I gushed like a teenage girl and thanked her with a big grin on my face. Then she elaborated, "You look like you're dead." When I was a kid I once called my sister a pregnant mosquito. I don't remember why, but it still comes up at family gatherings. When I was 4, I was running around the dining room when I hit my elbow on a chair. I proceeded to tell my mom, "Ouch, my testicles. I'm a girl. That extra skin on the elbow does feel like a scrotum." My 3-year-old semi-accidentally poked her 4-year-old sister pretty hard in the belly button last night. The 4-year-old spent the next 15 minutes complaining that her sister had hurt her in the uterus. Well, to be fair, when my belly button is poked at by anyone I can feel it all the way down to my uterus vaginal area. This is a pretty common thing, so she might not be wrong. My 5-year-old discovered dancing and was dancing constantly at bedtime. "Take off your clothes. It's time for jammies." "Okay daddy, but I dance while I take off my clothes." My 18-month-old loves to dance. Her dancing involves bending her knees real low and bouncing to the beat. It looks like the tiniest little white girl twerking and it kills me every time. In the middle of my local zoo there's a big clearing where they let all the African animals, except the carnivores, obviously, mingle, in an attempt to recreate a natural habitat. Last time I was there I was standing near a little boy and his mother, and the kid was in awe of what he was seeing. Suddenly, though, he saw something that got him really excited. "Look, mummy, look," he shouted, pointing. "It's a pigeon." The thing is, he was absolutely right. In an African setting, an English pigeon is the exotic one. It was about 9 years ago, when I was chilling at my sister's place during summer break. She was watching a 60 minutes interview of recently elected President Barack Obama with my nieces in the room. The youngest at the time, who was 3, saw the screen and then yelled out of the office, "It's abracadabra," when she saw who was talking. I knew a kid, 3, who called him broccoli brahma. So my almost 4-year-old has a speech delay, and she pronounces horse as W, and she has a My Little Pony toy that she takes everywhere. Anyway, she dropped it in Walmart one time and I didn't notice and was walking away. She was in the cart, and she yells, "Mommy, my W. Get my W." Oh god, I laughed so freaking hard, as did a lot of people around me. Obviously had some nasty looks, but whatever. She thinks she says horse. We're working on it. My sister, who had been learning about different religions, sat on my nan's lap and in all earnestness asked her, "Are you a Catholic or a prostitute?" 3-ish-year-old girl on an airplane loudly announced, "My daddy left me and mommy, and I don't know where he went." Then she pointed to her mom's tummy and told everyone there is a baby in there too. The mom had to remind her to tell the rest of the story, that daddy had taken another plane to a different city for work, but would be meeting up with them in a few days on their family vacation. "Hey, I've experienced similar," loudly proclaimed to a group of adults at the park. "Daddy's 34, mommy's 19, and I am almost 5 inches. I had to remind him that mommy is not actually 19. My boyfriend's little brother was 6'7" at the time, and had recently learned some anatomy terms. For some reason, he had anus and penis confused, and no matter how many times my boyfriend and I tried to tell him that the anus is in back and the penis is in front, and every other way we could figure out how to say it, he just wasn't getting it. It got pretty loud at one point, with my boyfriend yelling, "No, the anus doesn't pee," and his brother saying something along the lines of, "Why do anuses get bigger when you get older?" Eventually, I pulled out my anatomy textbooks and showed him a few diagrams and he finally figured it out. Still the funniest thing ever. No, the anus doesn't pee. Speak for yourself. Watching Star Wars with my 5-year-old nephew. Great scene with Darth Sidious sitting in his little chair facing out to space. You can't see him and all you can see is the chair before he does his big spinning chair reveal. Sidious says something like a Skywalker, "I've been waiting for you" or something. My nephew turns to me, shrugs his shoulders and says, "Talking chair." Don't know why this caught me, but I lost it. My favorite part is that the story didn't stop dead for him when a talking chair showed up and instead he just shrugged and went with it. I have a 2-year-old little girl who talks very well for her age. One day I'm standing in the kitchen and she busts through this beaded curtain we have on the door. She's got this real annoyed look on her face and she says, "Son of a bee," and just kept walking by me. One day when my nephew was about 3, 1/2 I was goofing around with him while I got him dressed for the day. He was learning to put his socks on, and after he would get one on and start with the second, I would snatch the first and slip it over his hand. After 2 or 3 go-arounds, he grabbed the sock from me, looked me in the eyes and said, "My socks go on my frickin' feet." My daughter when she was 3 walked into the bedroom wearing a shirt, undies, no pants, Barbie high heels and a carrier bag on her shoulder. I asked her where she was going and she says to work and then to Weight Watchers. Am I your daughter? If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.